And I was like, oh, you know, the guy acts like a banker, talks like a banker, he looks like a banker.
Depth of characters is something that really attracted me to the industry, and that's why I went back, because you have absolute rock stars in what they do. London makes incredible sense. Dedication to work, but there's also people know how to live.
Cigars, fine tailoring, and James Bond.
Sitting in the courtyard of Arts Club on a sunny day here in London, macchiato, San Pellegrino, beautiful por la Aragnaga, Monte Carlo.
Widely known in narrow circles.
You and your tailor should really build a relationship, because they understand your needs and they understand how that piece of clothing will be worn. And that's critical. Otherwise, just get a blue suit.
Sveti, welcome. Dude, I'm so excited to have you on this podcast, not just because you are one of my best friends and an anchor, I would say, of my life in London, but because you represent a very interesting sort of character or life path on this podcast, because the podcast is about, you know, people taking the MBA route and taking a maybe more traditional path after.
Right.
And then making sort of other interesting bets into like entrepreneurship or, I don't know, nonprofits or whatever else.
Yeah.
Whereas you represent almost a counterpoint of you came in to INSEAD knowing exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You've gone and done that and you commit to it, you know, even more so the more that you do it. So I think it's super interesting to get your perspective on that, the professional element. And then I think you've built quite an interesting curated life here in London as well. And I'm sure we'll get into that, but super excited to have you. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, first and foremost. And yeah, let's see how interesting of a case study I do make. I do have a portfolio of deliberate choices that I've made, and I ended up from a banking world to an MBA where people do a transition back into banking fully deliberately. And I love that choice. I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but it's doubling down on something that you like. It does bring a lot of joy.
Yeah, I bet. And, you know, I've seen that unfold a bit for you, but would love to unpack that a bit more in terms of your choice and interest in investment banking. I remember at INSEAD, when I first met you, you were quite clear about like, dude, I'm here to go back. I was a banker. I used to like it. I tried some other things.
Yeah.
And I'm here to go back into banking. And you embodied that persona as well.
Yeah.
In fact, in the early days of INSEAD, I remember describing you to someone because you came up somehow and you was like, oh, do you know Svetlin? And someone's like, no, I don't know if I've met him. And I was like, oh, you know, the guy acts like a banker, talks like a banker, he looks like a banker. And the guy knew exactly what I was talking about, you know? So like you kind of embodied the persona a bit then, and you embody the persona now, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
I guess, how was that for you in terms of like coming in knowing exactly what you want to do, and then how's it been since?
Look, that path wasn't always open to me. It's not something that I've dreamed of since I was a kid, but I went into university and then I found out from the subjects I was studying, I was always good at maths. Then I went something more practical with finance and accounting and economics. And my philosophy was, as soon as I find something that I'm interested in, I go deeper and deeper and deeper until I find where that path leads. And finance specifically was something that kind of grabbed my attention. I just remember the first time somebody explained the concept of like quantifying risk, which now seems like such a normal thing. But they were like, yeah, the risk is the probability of like something working out or not working out. And then you can spread that statistically. And I was like, it just blew my mind. I just never thought about like the mathematics and the real world having that kind of intersection.
Right.
And I saw it, I liked it. And then I spent countless hours breaking into banking, as everybody that has gone down this path. I explored it for 2-3 years, but you know, the junior years are quite grueling. So you end up with this thought, is there something else? Is there something better?
Yeah.
And that question is so big, and it takes up like little by little from 5% to 10% to 20% of your brain capacity of just you wondering what else is out there. Is there a better thing? So I stepped away after my analyst years and I went into a corporate and I did corporate strategy for 2-3 years. And I never felt more certain that I want to go back, and what I had was great. I wanted it to be in a bit of a different context, meaning going from a smaller bank to a bigger bank, exactly the sector that I wanted to cover. So I knew a few facets that I want to change. But the general direction of travel was, this is what I want to do. And I guess I've been lucky enough that just the product market fit between that market of investment banking and the product that I am, it works. And once you find something that works in life, go explore. And I've done it, right? Like sometimes you have to take a detour to see more, right?
Yeah.
But then once you find something you like and you want to keep it in your life, why not excel in it and get better at it? And with all its pros and cons. So it's been an incredibly fun career. As long as you get in it, knowing what are the pros, the cons, and you're okay with paying the price for what success looks like in that industry. And I think to this day, it's a great career, but it's not for everyone, as everything that's high intensity or low intensity, right?
Yeah.
Like you just know what kind of personality you are and which part of the industry works for you.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I think I can relate in many ways as well, right? I have had however you want to characterize it, whether it's a privilege or a burden or painful experience of being an analyst at a bulge bracket investment bank. And it was brutal, man. It was absolutely brutal. I don't think I've experienced anything like that from a professional standpoint, even to date. Of like, and this is like just after the financial crisis. Like, it's not the heady days of investment banking. This is like you're grinding to make it work, and there's not that many people around. And I was spending weekend nights under my desk and stuff like that, right? Like it's bizarre. Also, the cast of characters in the office is wild. Like, it's hilarious and it's intense, and it's people are cursing, people are yelling, it's like everything that you hear.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a full-on kind of cartoon with a bunch of characters running around, but that depth of characters is something that really attracted me to the industry, and that's why I went back, because you have absolute rock stars in what they do, boys and girls that have put numerous hours to get there. They're incredibly smart, and they're also very socially capable. And now they have this like super time pressure challenge that every day they need to solve, and it changes. For you to be that kind of a person, you also have like an incredibly off the normality personality. And that's quite incredible to observe and to get close to these people and to be in the trenches. And it's been the richness of characters in that industry is something that is really big for me, what keeps me there. From the clients and from the banker side.
And that matters a
Massively.
lot, right? Like, and I see that. I think I see a lot of parallels. Like, if I compare to my life trajectory, I did banking for a couple of years. I took a detour. I took more detours. I saw
to
more.
see more.
A lot more. Right? And then I went to business school, and then where you sort of forged a path in investment banking, I went into the world of consulting. And it's interesting, our parallels, where you started you started at Citi, I was at Strategy, and then you moved into Morgan Stanley, which is a phenomenal platform, and I moved to BCG.
And we were going in parallel almost through this great journey to kind of go through together.
And several debriefs like this have happened that kept me going through it, and reflections that I really appreciated. And I've only recently kind of graduated from BCG, a decision I like very much I'm questioning right now, right? And that's part of why I'm doing this podcast. I find myself at a bit of a crossroads. So I'm sort of capturing perspectives from friends and peers and mentors. The point I was trying to get at is I fully get where you're coming from, because BCG similarly attracts a certain kind of person, a caliber person, like people with interesting kind of stories, personalities, and so on. And that is, I love that you're so aware of that now, when I almost started to take it for granted in a way, or maybe didn't appreciate it enough. But I think that definitely helps. But what about now, right? Like, because I did 5-6 years in consulting. That's a
Yeah.
meaningful amount of time. And
Yeah.
yes, you move on to the next thing. You're a bit more senior. You're unlocking different aspects of the job.
Yes.
But what about now? You don't have that question now around like what else is out there? Should I be exploring something else, or is
Yeah.
this it? Because it is still quite a demanding, quite a punishing
Yeah.
career path and trajectory.
Yes. The MBA was a great platform for me for multiple reasons, from the social aspects to the academic aspects to the career aspects. But very importantly, what it unlocked for me is like I explored a few options. I looked at different industries that I've always been interested in. I explored, let's say, kind of luxury and fashion. What would a career there look like? I thought about consulting for a little bit, and then I went down the banking path. But that exploration allowed me to put my mind to rest that like, hey, that's what I really want. Like I see the full spectrum of optionality,
Yeah.
and that's what I want. Then people would ask you, often juniors will go into banking, they'll do a year or two and then move on to private equity, right? I feel I had the time and space and the people around me during my MBA to answer this question for myself. Do I want to do that? Is that a platform for the next step? And the answer for me personally was no. And having that commitment to an industry, to a profession, to a specific job allows you to have more capacity for being good at what you do. I actually hated the moments when I was an analyst and just thinking of like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Constant state of flux, it really drains my energy. So once I decide on something, I kind of accept the choice. And of course, I'm not blind to optionality, and none of us should be. But as long as it makes sense, as long as on like a long-term trajectory makes sense, I think there's nothing bad in loyalty to a career, which we see less and less in nowadays, right?
I was gonna say, you don't see that often, and people are always kind of wondering about the next thing. And I had people ask me this question a lot, especially when we're starting out just after the MBA, like, oh, are you doing this for like a couple of years? What do you want to do after? Do you see yourself being a partner? Whatever. And my answer was always, listen, I don't know. I don't have the answer, but what I can tell you is until the day I leave, I'm in it to win it, right? Like until the day I leave, I 100% want to be partner.
Yes.
Because to your point, like I can't deal with that kind of like incongruity of you're here, but then you're trying to be elsewhere. And I did leave in the end. And I think maybe, I had to leave to kind of figure out how much I appreciate what I had. And also now I'm in a place where I think I'm probably going to place some bets on business ideas that I want to explore and see how they work out. And because that's the only other thing I saw myself doing, right? And they work out phenomenal. And if they don't, then, hopefully if they'll have me, I'd love to return to BCG. And this time it's to knowing that like, this is it. That kind of your level of commitment, which I always displayed until I left. But I think that's the level of commitment you need to be successful in this world as well.
I think the parallels even just across life, when you do something, really just go fully in 100% that this is what you want to do. And this is right now, I'm fully in the mindset of, I don't know, just like, oh, I want to learn sailing, or I want to run a marathon, or whatever it is. Because I think with that level, rather than just sailing through life and just doing this and that and so on, and the answer could change. The answer could change in 6 months. It could change in 2 weeks. But while you're there, you push the character that you are to the extreme to embody whatever is needed for you to achieve the maximum of that situation. If you decide to run a marathon, really go down to training, not just like, I'm training here and there and so on, right? Because I think that these limits, you push certain limits of you personally and physically, really unlock a certain level of familiarity with yourself, right? And a good relationship with yourself. if you're in a job and you're doing it half-heartedly and constantly questioning, it's like, should I be doing this? Maybe there's something cooler. You lose so much of your confidence. You lose so much of your interpersonal relationship that it's not a good path for the soul. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I hear you. I think that makes a lot of sense. I love how much you love investment banking, if I can say that. It's
I'm not
uh,
saying it's not difficult at times,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and you've seen me
for sure.
through the ups and the
Yeah,
downs.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
fundamentally, I love your degree of commitment to it. I love how much you enjoy what you do, and you see the full spectrum of the impact that it has in Europe, in the financial world, and so on.
Yeah.
And we can get into that. But I really respect that attribute, right?
Thank you.
A lot of our classmates are actually quite curious about, you and your commitment to your job and so on. And they're always talking about, oh, dude, Svetlin, like he loves investment banking. That guy loves being a banker, which like sometimes is said from a place of admiration and sometimes almost from a place of, I don't know, maybe not in the most positive. What's your perspective on that? Like, I mean, it's okay to love your job, right? That's the point of doing a job.
Yeah, I mean, you spend so much of your life doing it. That's your life purpose in a way, right? I mean, if you fundamentally think about why you're here is to be helpful in one way or another to society, to the greater tribe we're part of,
Yeah.
right? To be helpful intellectually, physically, and to be helpful for the people closest to you, your family and your friends, and to help them and protect them. And if you love what you do, that transcends in everything around you, right? Like in your mood, in how much you can deliver in terms of value, and as a byproduct, how much you can get remunerated, and how much in this capitalist world that we live in protect your family friends from when times get difficult.
Yeah.
And they do. So I don't think there's anything. I think it's critical for you to kind of love what you do. And I'm not saying it, look, love what you do doesn't mean that your everyday is like, I'm whistling and skipping to work,
Yeah.
right? You have to think about it more long-termistic, and it's kind of like, is this overall something that gets the best out of me? Am I a better version of myself because I push myself on these parallels that it kind of like touches upon? Happiness could be quite a specific thing. It's in loving your job could mean different things for different people, but it's important that your life work is aligned with what you think you should be doing. Because once again, you revert back to otherwise it just breeds a bit of unsettled feeling.
Yeah.
And that unsettled feeling cannot be resolved with doing more or stopping to do whatever you do and just like have the vacuum take over you. So look, I think it's important and it's critical, and we should always be searching. And once you find it, like don't be afraid to be loyal to it and try to be the best version of you. And then in 6 months, in 1 year, things could change, right? But every time you go into something, don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of joy of not half-assing it, however difficult that is at times.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so there's this kind of like sense of commitment to your profession, which is great. Have you felt a bit of restlessness when it comes to geography? I know I have when I've been in London the last 6 years, and sometimes I've gotten calls from recruiters in like Dubai, and they're basically offering to like triple my net income. Or recently I've had a bit of a misguided flirtation with Singapore. Again, with like, great sort of low tax rates, great net comp and convenience, safety, whatever it is that Singapore offers, which ultimately I decided is nothing compared to the joy of being in London, which is a phenomenal city. Have you felt that kind of restlessness and, desire to explore?
Look, I've thought about it, especially New York. And I think for investment bankers, it's a natural place to spend some time and see what it is. And, you see the movies about Wall Street and so on. So it's like, it's exciting. And funnily enough, the more I've been there, the more I'm convinced that London is the place for me.
Yeah.
Look, geographic location it's it's very important. Like it really forms your life because like the culture, the everyday, your compensation, your social circle, everything is there. It's tied to that kind of geographic location. For me, London makes incredible sense. From professional standpoint, I think it's one of those places where there is dedication to work, but there's also people know how to live. There's still like understanding you need to go skiing once in a while, enjoy European summer.
Yeah.
People are not ashamed to take their holiday when they want it and need it. As opposed to the US, where it's a lot stricter and people always kind of like try to hide that they're out of
Right.
office and so on. And yet it's not like full European where you take August off, right?
Right.
They just like you never show up. So it's like it's on that spectrum of there's commitment to work and there's dedication, but there's also understanding that life is more than that, and you should spend that time enjoying it, not just waiting for one day to enjoy it. I think from an income perspective, it's also like quite a look. Taxes are high, but you do get a lot for your money in a way. Like
Yeah.
it's really there's so much culture. If you love museums and art, all museums are free. I mean, this is incredible. You can see incredible art for like nothing. You just rock up on a Sunday and have a great time. And you're getting beautiful architecture, beautiful parks, quite a well set infrastructure system that you're plugging yourself into. And then socially and like just like from a lifestyle perspective, I think it's just completely unbeatable. You have the sports, you have the parks, you have the culture of people kind of enjoying a drink at the pub, which is kind of like fantastic experience in itself.
It really
Then you
is.
have
Yeah.
the members clubs, you have the most incredible food from all over the world and the greatest restaurants. You have that neighborhood feeling from one hood to another. I just think that London specifically has a lot going on for itself, and I really enjoy it. And for me, just it's once again that kind of match of like what I want and what the city provides. Is like it's a really good product market fit.
In this case, the city's the product.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Previously, you were the product.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Or maybe, who's to say which is the
which was which? Yeah. There's an overlap of of some sorts of a Venn diagram. But on top of that, I love Europe. I really think Europe has one of the most beautiful kind of setups because everything is so close by. You can go from skiing to a summer resort, from one island to another island, from one language to completely different culture in 2 hours, 3 hours. And that's incredible. And every culture has so much richness, has so much to explore. So I love traveling, and I've explored a lot of Asia and the rest of the world, but I think as a hub, London is one of the top ones there.
I think it's beyond without parallel. I really, I mean, and I've lived in New York for a long time. I've grown up in Asia, India, lived in Madrid and Paris even. And I remember each time I spent time in Madrid or Paris, I was like, these are amazing cities. I want to find a way to stay here. But it's in London that I felt fully accepted, I think, as a person, because it can just let you be.
Yeah.
You've lived in thousands of places, whatever. You can come from wherever, but you can be a Londoner.
Yeah.
In a way that you cannot be a New Yorker. I found that in order to be a New Yorker, you have to embrace a very American way of life. You have to talk a certain way, act a certain way. And, it's possible that you have to do that in London as well. But I guess the way in which you talk and act works well for me.
Yes.
As someone who grew up in India, but, grew up reading English authors, grew up reading Enid Blyton, but also P.G. Wodehouse. And I walk the streets of London and I see like chapters from my favorite books just jumping out at me. And, the Drones Club from Wodehouse or, The Adventures of Bertie Wooster and so on. But it's more than that, right? It's just like the lifestyle, how I feel in this city, what it enables. It's just, for me, it's without parallel. And I've come to realize that I've been gone 2 months.
Yeah.
And I can't live without it. It's really a sort of just a phenomenal place to be. I agree.
Yes, sometimes you need 2 months to step away and just see it from a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Different viewpoint too. So once you take away something from your life, you really realize its value. So it's okay to do this kind of viewpoints
Yeah.
stopwise, right?
Yeah. I mentioned you're like one of the most English
Mm,
people I know, and it's a joy to
right.
kind of see you navigate
Yeah.
London as well. And I
Yeah.
think there are lots of parts of London that we both find very interesting, whether it's kind of the menswear
Yeah.
tradition or Savile Row or
Yeah.
tailoring. I know
Yeah.
you're quite particular about that. But you have built a very curated, deliberate life in
Right.
London and
Yeah.
within English culture, right? I think you once joked to me that, dude, if you look at my resume under interests, you'll see cigars, fine tailoring, and James Bond. Which is all true,
Yeah.
right? Like well, Bond, I don't know, but
Yeah.
like cigars and
Yeah.
tailoring for sure. I think
Yeah.
some of the other ways that you're quite deliberate about the places you spend your time in, the people you spend your time with. I guess, was that a deliberate thought process? Did that just kind of come about? How did you sort of get into this life?
I came from a small town in Bulgaria where everybody knew each other, and my dream for living in London was a bit that anonymity that you provided, right? What you said is like you can be a Londoner because you see how in that huge melting pot of London where you fit in, and you can be that, right?
Yeah.
And London provides you so many different interesting niches that you can get stuck in and really explore. And some of them that I love that you mentioned is like tailoring is huge here. So you can go down that path and like explore different tailors. You have like a lot of people traveling from Italy, traveling from all over the world to do trunk shows here. But you also have the classic English tailoring on Savile Row. If that's something you're interested in, you can go down that path. Another one is, yeah, smoking cigars. It's I would say that the cigar culture in London is unparalleled to anything else I've seen. So it's something else you can explore. I think London has a lot of different niches. I enjoyed rowing for a while, which is a big thing in my life because it's a very all-consuming sport. You can go down the path of tennis. You can go down the path of fine dining. There's plenty to explore, and London allows you this because you can go through getting out of your shell of a little town where everybody knows you. You go through the path of anonymity, and then you go to the point where you become known or deliberate and knowledgeable about your choices and become known in smaller circles, right?
Yeah. Widely known in narrow circles.
Exactly, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of beauty in that, right? Because you can have the life that you always wanted. You can double down on the things that you've always found interesting. And widely known in narrow circles speaks exactly of this, that curation of life. You're quite curated with where you want to put your energy.
Yeah.
And with the jobs that we don't have that much free time. So you become quite deliberate with what you want to do with your time, with your focus, with your attention, the people you spend time with. And there is a joy in that. There's a lot of joy in that, in the thought of less is more, right? Less, but the best is more, because then you can focus on the things that you really like. You can take that parallel all the way to your clothing choices, right? Sometimes you can have like racks and racks of clothes and feel less happy with what you have to work with than 2 suits, 5 shirts, 3 pairs of shoes, and it's a joy to put any of them on any given day. So that's the philosophy I've taken with my life. Less is more. I know what I like, and I want to spend more time with the things and the people and the spaces that inspire me and fill me up with energy. So curating your life is a very important thing for me personally, to be happy.
Yeah. And I see that in action because I think if you're in town, if you're in London, I can probably take a guess given the time of day
and day of week
and day of week where you might be.
Yeah.
Like if I had a heat map of like
Yeah.
where you spend your time in London, and there's like very concentrated spots
Yes.
where you end up being, which I think is phenomenal. And yeah, I guess it's a function of like a well-curated life, like it serves you well. And I think it's interesting that despite coming from a small town, everybody knows everybody, you've gone through the journey of like, I want anonymity in London. And then again, within London, though, you've found spaces that you're actually not that anonymous, and you're actually quite a known and familiar figure. Almost a fixture of certain establishments in the city.
Yes. And look, I am a man of habit. I really enjoy habit, and I love traveling to break my habits and just spend 2 weeks, let's say, backpacking somewhere or on a motorbike. And I love that. I love the experience itself, but what I also love is like, it reminds me how much I love my habits, and just to go back to that every day of waking up, gym, work, have a good coffee, enjoy a nice cigar, right? So I am a man of habit. Yeah, that heat map is like, I always said, like, if there's somebody who puts a killer on me, it would be so easy to get my habit. They wouldn't need 2 weeks to learn my habits. Like within 5 days, they'd be like, yeah, I figured that guy out.
Okay, well, watch out. But okay, and in terms of some of these interests, right, especially maybe we can pick up menswear, which is interesting to both of us. And I have quite an interesting kind of relationship and history with it, because I like growing up in India, and you know, when I went to school, because a lot of menswear comes from kind of the concept of uniform, right? Military or otherwise. And I grew up in a household, like my dad was in the police, so he had a uniform. And one of my earliest memories of feeling special in a piece of clothing is when I was a kid and I put on my dad's uniform, and it had like the insignias and the nameplate, the medals, and felt super cool. And then I used to love and look forward to like wearing my school uniform. I know a lot of kids didn't like it, but I loved it, and I especially waited for the winters to roll around. So I could like put on a tie and a blazer, and you know,
layers. A lot of joy.
You gotta have layers, which is part of why I can't survive in Singapore, honestly, because like London is so great for layers.
No layers, just a t-shirt.
Just a t-shirt, and it's all homogenous. But I remember being like very fascinated by that, and I was quite particular about, to the degree and exposure that I had, I was quite particular about like clothes that I wore. And then I went to undergrad in the States. And my instinct and desire for this was almost kind of beaten or like bullied out of me. Where a lot of my peers would mock me for, you know, dressing up for class. And it's only when I kind of left the States after a decade and I moved to Madrid that I started to realize. I was in Sevilla actually first, and everybody there is like so formal, and it's like, and you know, Sevilla is a very traditional place, and you have your Sundays where people wear a suit, go to church.
The sense of occasion, the tradition that came with it.
Yeah, for sure. And so I was like, look, I got to step up my game. And I kind of started to build a bit of a wardrobe. But it's once I moved to London that like really my eyes were open in terms of like, there's so much good stuff out there. And I think I remember telling you when I first moved to London, it's like, man, I need to like redo my whole wardrobe. And it was quite a project. And I think it took like 5-6 years to, you know, get the right pieces. And I love what I have now. But I guess how would you think about like building the right wardrobe, and how have you kind of gone on that journey?
Look, firstly, it really depends how much importance you see in dressing well, or dressing well to your standards. Dressing well has very different kind of answers to different people. If this is something that's important to you, it's an absolute joy of a journey, because it's your daily artistic expression that you can just put something together and you're like, oh, this resonates with how I feel, what I want to wear, with the colors, the textures, everything. So that journey, as long as it's important for you, could be quite a joy. And it's a journey that just you shouldn't rush. I think that's the most important part. Like, either people go in, there are two mistakes that I see people just generally doing that maybe I've done somewhere along the path as well. Firstly, rush in and just try to figure it all out in 6 months. It doesn't work like that. It really takes years to buy very kind of thoughtfully, experiment, and kind of like perfect the process of what works for you. And I'm not saying that you have to end up dressing like a peacock. No. But it's just like experiment with different shapes, different colors, what works for you, what doesn't, what styles work for you. And then you end up at, I think the end goal for me was always like, I want to dress in a certain way that wherever I go in my life, whatever my lifestyle is, like I can wear pretty much the same clothes wherever I go within my lifestyle. It's like on a Sunday, if I have to meet a client, I'll probably be dressed the same way.
Right.
But be deliberate and be patient with it and enjoy that journey of discovery. And then the second mistake that I've seen and I've done is when you start going down the path of tailoring and commissioning things, people see that as an opportunity to go absolutely wild and order like that double-breasted pinstripe suit and just go with the red lining, just really
matching hat.
Matching hat. Just really start conservative and then build from there, because it really opens your eyes for, okay, so I have a good base, maybe I experiment with this, experiment with that. The experimentation journey should be gradual, not just shock to the system, because you can make big mistakes with very expensive items.
Yeah. Is most of your wardrobe now kind of tailored stuff?
Yes, predominantly I would say my clothes are, yes, bespoke, made for me. But that doesn't mean that they're wild, but I do have the specific fabrics that I want and specific cuts that I know work for my body. And you have to be honest with yourself, because some things that look really cool on Instagram don't necessarily work for you.
For sure. Yes. But then for me, not very many of my wardrobe is bespoke. Actually, a lot of it is, stuff that I just thought looked good. And I put it on, or, you go to Suit Supply and something you see what the mannequin is wearing, and that's, pretty solid.
Fantastic brand.
Solid place to start. Great brand, good quality. Even for me, like someone who's actually quite comfortable trying it out, or, doesn't mind sort of experimentation. Going down the path of fully bespoke is a little bit intimidating, because there's just so much optionality.
Yes.
And a lot of tailors, in my limited experience, are not necessarily there to guide you. They're not stylists.
Yes.
They're not going to be like, oh, take this, take that. Let me tell you what the best fabric is, what the color is. It's kind of all on you.
Yeah.
How did you figure that world out? Because it's a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I started with, Suit Supply is a great place to kind of learn, try different fits, and they're really good at the style choices that match the season and the colors and the fabrics. It's a fantastic brand. So it's like a great place to kind of start figuring out what works for you, right? Like what colors work for you, what fabrics, what kind of cuts of suits, what kind of jackets, and so on. And then once you start from there are tailors that are also style advisors, right? I've gone through that path, and I would say the last couple of tailors I've used have been like, I love that conversation where you walk in and you're like, oh, I want a suit, that kind of a suit. And it's like, no, first let's talk about where do you hang out? What do you do? What's your life? What's your profession? Where do you go in the evening? Do you want this piece for the evening, or do you want it for the daytime? So then you have this long conversation, and to have good tailoring, you and your tailor should really build a relationship, because they understand your needs and they understand how that piece of clothing will be worn. And that's critical. Otherwise, just get a blue suit, like get a dark navy suit. It will always work, right? And then you mentioned another thing, which is there's so many facets, from the cut to the color to the fabric to the texture to the drape. And good is different for different people. If you tell them, it's like, oh, what is the best fabric? And it's like, what is the best fabric? Is it something that's more durable, or something that's more fine, or right? So you need to have these answers for yourself and experiment with ready to wear.
Yeah.
And then going to made to measure, you don't need fully bespoke unless you have some oddity about your structure, right? Generally, ready to wear is good. And I still mix a lot of stuff from Suit Supply, Drake's, which have like great ready to wear stuff.
Yeah. Big fan of Drake's.
Yeah, fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Just go slowly.
Yeah.
Go easy. Yeah.
Dude, speaking of Drake's, which is like, again, super English, right? How are you so English? Right. As an Eastern European man, like how did you kind of come to, I think you love English culture in a way. And I always see you like, I mean, you know, some of the members clubs here or Royal Ascot and things like that. And not that that's the only thing about English culture, but I think in general, there's a lot about it that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I wouldn't say I'm that English. I just like got fascinated by aspects of English culture, the kind of like I absorbed and enjoy participating in. And I guess it was a step-by-step process. Like you kind of run away from your homeland and you try to find a new sense of belonging somewhere, and that vacuum of your culture being far away, hours and hours away from on a flight, gets filled in with whatever you see and you like, and now you can choose what you like and where you spend your time. And I think it was just that deliberate choice of what traditions and cultural aspects I wanna imbibe. And that's slowly but surely, I guess that's the end result of multiple iterations over the years. It's I've become a bit more English and British, but still quite Bulgarian fundamentally when you peel that onion.
Though I've seen a lot of people kind of take a guess that you're Italian, which like you never deny.
I love the branding. I actually always accept it as a compliment. And I would say when people meet me, 95% of the time I get the Italian branding. And then I took a DNA test exactly for this. I was like, I must be Italian. I must be Italian. And it was Bulgarian pureblood. There's nothing else there.
Perfect. Yeah. That's hilarious. Maybe covering the other part of interest for you these days is cigars. Has been for a while now. What got you into that?
Yes. Well, I remember my first cigar, and look, everybody who started smoking cigars, they have a person who got them into it.
Right.
Sometimes it's in the family, it's your dad or your older brother, or it's a friend, but there's always somebody who has to teach you the ropes, because majority of the people that try them out, they try them out somewhere out when they're drinking, and it's like that sign of kind of luxury or status. They never enjoy it because they don't know what actually you're trying to achieve with that beautiful natural product. So my good friend Emil introduced me to cigars about 15 years ago, and I remember having a conversation with him that I've tried them before and I didn't really like them. And he's like, "Oh, you haven't done it properly." And I remember us sitting in the courtyard of Arts Club on a sunny day here in London with a macchiato, a glass of San Pellegrino, and I had a beautiful cigar of Por la Ragnaga Monte Carlo, which is still one of my favorites. Really thin and long cigar, light. I remember having that coffee, the cigar, the flavors of the cigar, and the conversation and the format of it. And from that moment on, I've always loved them, and I think I've gone much deeper in that rabbit hole over the last couple of years.
I think the format especially is great. Like I can't say I'm a big fan of smoking cigars necessarily. But you know, when we catch up, there's inevitably a cigar involved. And when I was starting out, it kind of made me feel like I was on the show Boston Legal, Alan Shore and Denny Crane. But over time, it's been a great format where you can just kind of like slow down, relax. There's like interesting aesthetics about it. And
Yes.
you can just chat
very
openly, very honestly.
Yeah.
That I love.
Yes.
The actual smoking of it, I don't think it does much for me. But
we can substitute it with something else.
yeah, exactly.
And yeah, that's the beauty of cigars, right? It's the format of sitting down and not going anywhere for that 1 hour, slowing down and having a good conversation with a friend.
Yeah.
My favorite right now is sitting down with a coffee and a cigar and reading a book. It's just that time that you stop and it's almost a meditation. It's a celebration of your time. It's nothing else. It's like everything stops. It's just about you appreciating every second of that period when you're smoking with yourself, with your thoughts, with your book. It's just a great breath of fresh air from this world that we're constantly running around.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I would say to the point of like it is a form of meditation.
Yeah.
And you can share it with friends, or you can I found great friends through cigars.
Yeah.
And it's a great community. It's a really, really great community.
I think the community point I find increasingly that maybe I'm a little bit anachronistic, if that's the right word, where, some of my interests and pursuits are quite analog in an increasingly digital and AI world, whether it's listening to music on the vinyl or shaving with the brush and the bowl, and the safety razor, and cigars for you, or reading only kind of like printed material versus screens, things like that. And I find like even for that, London is a great enabler.
Yeah.
And you can find, speaking of communities that are like you, that appreciate the things that you appreciate. I think that's part of why I love London so much as well.
Yeah, I agree. And look, all these things are great, and I have aspects of my life that are quite digital and like extremely technology forward, and then I have aspects that are very analog. I think the important part of the analog part of your life is, as long as it's natural, as long as it's something that you really enjoy and you prefer and you make it part of you, it's fantastic. And you can go back to I don't know, maybe like even a razor blade shaving and so on, but you need to never do these things for the audience or for the crowd, because then it feels like a costume, and there's nothing worse than a costume in the form of a personality or clothing or actions and just places to go just because it's the right thing to do. And if you're doing it because that's your preference, London has plenty of communities that will welcome you, and London is a bit old school about this.
Yeah.
Which is a cool thing for people like us that are probably born in the wrong decade of the century, of the last 2 centuries.
Yeah.
So, London is quite accepting.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite cigar?
There are plenty. And I think recently I've been smoking a lot of H. Chapman number 2. That has been my last 2 months. That has been my cigar of choice.
Right.
It's, again, a journey. I've been on it for 15 years, and I'm still discovering so much every day about cigars and everything around them. Yeah.
Favorite suit?
I just got a delivery on Friday of my latest suit, which is a dark brown chocolate suede double-breasted suit. I wore it yesterday. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And once again, you can get to the extreme of a chocolate double-breasted linen once you've been on a journey and you know how you're going to wear it, where you're going to wear it, are you going to get much use of it? Because if that's your first suit, very tricky.
Yeah.
Very tricky.
Yeah.
But now I know it's like I can wear the jacket separately. I can wear the trousers separately. I can wear it as a suit when I'm going to a certain club or for a wedding. So there are plenty of ways for me to wear it.
Yeah.
But think about your lifestyle and the places you go. You should never look like you're wearing a costume. you either curate your life so your clothes fit in that life,
Yeah.
or fit your clothes to the life that you have.
Yeah,
Because you
exactly.
really need that congruency.
Yeah. Looking ahead, kind of moving
Mm.
away from the interest and stuff, what's next, man? Or is it like you go deeper in all these kind of spheres that you're embodying now?
Yeah.
Which I think is like maybe the natural path for you, or yeah. Do you think about that much, or?
I do and I don't. Like, we all have our hopes and dreams, what we want the world to look like in 10 years for us, or 20 years for us and our friends and family. A lot more focus recently on like just step by step. I do what I think is right and important right now. And then I let the world kind of do its randomness overlay on top of my my actions, right? And I found that gives me a bit more joy than the constant push to another target. The peace and happiness I found in what I do in my day to day is a lot more focus on the process. I just focus on the actions I want to take now. And somehow life has been really good at delivering good results that sometimes are unexpected, right? And sometimes there's always a sucker punch there that you have to recover from, right? But no huge deviation, just do more of what I like, and that journey and actions will take me to a certain path. It's not going to be the path of least resistance. I know the crazy ideas come in.
And maybe related to that, like one of the questions that I've been kind of, deliberating about, because I'm at a bit of a crossroads, and, part of the reason I'm doing this podcast is like chatting with good friends about conversations I have anyway. Just happening to record them. Like what especially I'm curious to hear your perspective, because you kind of have been quite deliberate in how you construct your life. What are the kind of key ingredients to a good life in your view, and like, what might constitute a life well lived, so to speak? It's a tricky one, but
no, it's a tricky one, but it's something that you really need to answer for yourself, and you have to be conscious about what's important to you, right? So I think it all starts with a healthy body and a healthy mind, right? Everything else is downstream from there. So for me, it's extremely important to, despite us talking about cigars a lot, which is the one big vice I have, is working out every day, trying to eat as healthy as possible. Diet is probably 80% of your health. Try to be deliberate with your sleep and the way you kind of like you spend your time, so you can be not at maximum stress all the time, right? And I feel like once you take care of your health in your body, everything else kind of comes downstream from there. Then you can be the best version to apply yourself in your job, which is the majority of your day to day, and you need a sense of purpose and direction there for you to feel confident and to feel in a conversation walking in proud of what you do. And when somebody says your name, you're ready to take a step forward. You do need a sense of purpose and direction in your day-to-day work. And once you figure this out, then you can have like your health, and you have some financial abilities and some skills that are valuable. I think it's kind of starting to take care of the people around you and your social circle, which is extremely important, right? It's your family, and then you grow your social circle that gives you so much joy, so much advice, viewpoints. Is we are social creatures, and I do go in these long periods of monk mode and isolate myself, and I quite enjoy them, but deep down we cannot have a life without interactions, because they bring us so much joy. We're hardwired for it. So I think a good life is, again, like for me, it's a tiered approach, because I'm quite pragmatic about these things, but it's like keep your health at a really good level, and then have a purpose and direction where you put your efforts and energy, and then invest in your social life on top of that. And doesn't have to be broad, doesn't have to be huge, but really anchor it in people that you care about and you want to keep close. And that gives you pretty good ingredients for a good life. Everything else could be built on top of it. Focus on the foundation and the fundamentals, and then everything else could work out. You'll find your interest. It doesn't have to be cigars. It doesn't have to be tailoring. It doesn't have to be clubs or cars, or maybe it's all of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great answer. Man, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you
Likewise.
here. I'm sure we'll have many more of such chats in our future, but I'm glad that we got this one on the books,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I look forward to kind of seeing where you take all of these interests and perspectives, and hopefully I'll be next to you as you to kind of witness.
I'm excited to see your journey. You're at a very interesting point as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. But, in the
Yeah.
meantime, I have this going. So appreciate the time, appreciate the chat, and yeah, hang out soon.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Bhuvan.
Thanks, dude.